When I offered up Mega Man.EXE Warrior as an upcoming review, I thought to myself, oh yeah, that was just a 52-episode anime based loosely on Battle Network 1 and 2, right? That'll be easy. Well, what I didn't realise is that I had an entire rabbit hole to dive into. Not only did us Westerners actually get 2 series worth of virus-busting goodness in the form of NT Warrior and Access, albeit heavily censored and completely missing a whole bunch of episodes, but the following 3 shows worth of content remain completely undubbed in English. ROCKMAN.EXE Stream, Beast, and Beast Plus. The latter 2 I'll be treating as a single series for convenience's sake. Unsure of how to tackle 209 episodes worth of Mega Man, I took to Twitter, who voted for me to split this into 2 videos. So for now, I'm just going to be watching the original NT Warrior and Access, both in Japanese and subtitled because, again, the censorship in this show was ridiculous. By the by, shout out to Joseph Fuller for trying to make this easier for me. I'm sure your petition will be filled one day, Joseph. I believe in you. The Battle Network games are a bunch of really solid handheld RPGs, set in a completely separate universe from Mega Man or Mega Man.EXE. In this universe, neither robots nor Reploids were the breakout inventions of Dr. Light or Dr. Wily. Instead, their focus was more on artificial intelligence, with Dr. Light going so far as to, spoiler, infuse his son's personal terminal with the soul of his twin brother who died in infancy. This plot point never appears once in the anime, and yet it is the wildest goddamn thing in the games, being brought up once and promptly forgotten about, as if the idea of having your dead brother being reborn as your internet navigator doesn't bear further examination. Hey Siri, are you my brother?
If you're saying you consider me family, that's rather nice.
Huh. Well, that just leaves me with more questions. Anyways, let's dive into episode 1 of NT Warrior. Plug in Rockman. Or Jack in Mega Man. As you'd most likely expect, the Japanese opening is an upbeat friendship ballad, rooting for ROCKMAN.EXE. The episode begins with a really well-animated fight between some rando AI, or NetNavi to use the correct terminology, and Gutsman.exe. Oh my god, that is the same blaster sound effect as the Ruby Spears cartoon. You've won me over already, you didn't have to do that. In all honesty, the fights are one of the strongest elements of this show, mostly because they're just AI, so they can be as violent as they want to each other. Apparently, so long as no actual blood is spilled, it's good for the kids, which I'm not going to argue with. The fight turns out to have been a simple sparring match between our hero, Lan Hikari, and his Nelson Muntz-esque bully/friend, Dex. From this point on, I'm going to try using everyone's Japanese names, making these 2 Neto and Dikayo, but that's going to feel extra weird, considering that Neto shares his name with an often maligned chain of defunct British supermarkets. Your mom shops at Neto!
ありがとう、ロール。いいよな。カスタムナビ持ってて。はーい。待てよ、ネリちゃん。一緒に帰ろう。じゃあね、ネット。あれ？
Dang, Neto! Not only did you get your ass kicked, but now your gal pal has ditched you. If only you had a friendly fishmonger to confide in. After a friendly chat with Masa-san, where Neto gets to explain the concept of personal terminals and net navies, the two of them spot a bunch of fire trucks, setting up the first major boss from the first game. Moving on, Neto heads home and finds a letter from his dad, Dr. Hikari. That's Dr. Light in Japanese. Containing his very own custom navi. Unlike the games where you actually start with Rockman already installed, Neto gets to install and meet him for the first time, which makes for a nice character intro.
イメージと違うんだよ、俺の。もっとこう、体がでかくて強そうなやつを期待してたんだ。なんかがっかりだな。そんな。
And right on cue, the first major event kicks off. Neto's oven is hacked and begins spewing out flames, forcing him and Rockman to jump into action. They jack into the oven and bust some viruses. Do take note that I'm likely to spend a lot of this review talking about jacking in and busting with surprisingly little fanfare. That is what these games do to you.
All visitors, jack off immediately! Run away!
The next day in school, a desperate Dakayo tries asking Meiru out on a date, followed up by his gutsman asking her role for the same thing. Both advances are rejected, and the idea of gutsman coming onto roll is now something we all have to live with. But more importantly, we get to see the arsonist behind the exploding ovens and his boss.
今度もしそいつが現れたら構わんデリートだ
I can't tell if this Wily has a German accent, but I'm going to pretend like he does, for my enjoyment. With Neto and Dakayo being knee-deep in their after-school rematch, a flustered Roll enters to alert the both of them that Meiru is in danger, with her own oven having been targeted by one of Dr. Wily's domestic terrorists. Yes, this is the core premise of the Battle Network games. And yes, it's also part of the reason why the post-9/11 dub of this show was so heavily censored.
俺はファイヤーマンいつまで逃げられるかな
With Fireman being revealed as the source of the arson attacks, Rock and Gutsy are sent to deal with him, while their human counterparts focus on rescuing Meiru. Guts ends up downed by Fireman's flamethrower, forcing him to log out. But Neto and Mega stick around to finish the job.
ブラグアウトだファイヤーマン
With Meiru being rushed off to hospital, Dakayo being beside himself with worry, and Neto being callously unconcerned with his friend's smoke inhalation, the day is saved. Before I jump to the final episode of NT Warrior, I should point out that while the show is super faithful to Battle Network at first, the plot of the anime begins to diverge around the midpoints, using familiar characters and locations, but mixing them into wildly different scenarios, meshing the original Battle Network trilogy together. So, do keep that in mind as we watch episode 56, Virus Busters. This episode begins with Dr. Hikari, who only escapes the designation of mad scientist when compared directly to Dr. Wily, manifesting cyberspace into the real world. Please refer to my LP of Cyber Sleuth for a crash course into why that is a terrible bloody idea.
成功だ
Once Hikari's transmissions back home are cut off, Neto and his gang of friends all take a plane to... not Hawaii in order to rescue him.
そんな夢みたいなことができるの？
そうね。ラッシュも元は電脳世界のウイルスよね。
So, here's my hot take. I've always thought the original Rush looked dumb as hell. And I think this reformed virus Rush is a million times better. Look at how cute he is. And while we're on the subject, the fact that he's able to totter around in the meat space like it's no big thing most likely hints to the fact that Dr. Hikari has been working on this doomed project for quite a while now. After witnessing a forest spawn inside of a shopping mall, the heroes, now rocking a helicopter because it helps to have a rich kid around, decide to take action.
ここジャワイ島に念願のマハ2番を開店できたのも
Oh. Okay. So, here we are watching Dr. Wily's head honchos settle down in order to run a curry shop. And they all seem to be really into it. I guess it's nice that they all have hobbies outside of domestic terrorism and child murder. Let's never revisit this B-plot again.
光博士は企業の依頼を受けてこのショッピングモールの地下駐車場に緑地公園を作る実験を行っていたんです。けどモール内のサーバーに潜んでいたウイルスがディメンションコアの強力なエネルギーに惹かれて実験装置に侵入したんです。
No! You're telling me that materializing the very same cyberspace that is constantly plagued by viruses, most of which were created by your former partner specifically to spite you, is a bad idea? Nah, I don't think I buy that. Well, bitches be crazy. What? What, it's a female dog? Goofs aside, I do enjoy the premise of this episode, where all of the human characters, none of whom can really fight, have to fend off the virus enemies. Obviously, they can't do much and spend most of the episode running, hiding, or waiting for the physical manifestations of their net navis to arrive. But this turns around once the viruses expose their weakness. With water proving to be their kryptonite, the gang arm themselves with super soakers and begin busting the viruses themselves, which... Oh, that's why the episode's called that. They're actually doing a Ghostbusters bit. Anyways, this is still a season finale, so the big bastard who made everything go wrong in the first place turns out to be the Dream Virus, the final boss of the original Battle Network. Thankfully, the Navis arrive just in the nick of time, and Rockman is able to defeat the Dream Virus using a bunch of transformations and chip attacks, which is both true to the game and appropriately climactic. Dr. Hikari wakes up from what he assumes was just a bad dream, and then decides to bounce before he can face the consequences of almost killing his son, his digital son, and all of their friends. I know that it's trite to claim that Dr. Light is the real villain of the Mega Man series, but in this instance, everything that went wrong was entirely due to his startling negligence. Dr. Wily wasn't even involved in this one. He's probably off playing bingo or something. Okay, time to move on to the second series, Access. I only have a vague memory of Mega Man Battle Network 4, but this series only vaguely follows its story, so I should be okay. Access is also cited by fans as being darker and more violent than its predecessor, so hell yeah, sign me up for that. Okay, it looks to me like this series is going to incorporate fusion, something that BN4 definitely didn't have. I usually praise adaptations for being faithful to their source materials, but in this case, in this one instance, I like how this show plays with dynamics that the games just don't, and probably should. Ooh, those buildings. They don't look finished. This episode starts with Netto and Rockman casually clowning on a pair of Navis during a friendly battle. This is definitely just an intro though, because they then head to Dr. Hikari's lab.
実験開始。シンクロチップスロットイン。了解。
Well, I do hope it works this time. We're running low on our Widow Bouquet budgets. Oh, you turned him into a transformer. Cool.
どうした？被験者の身体機能が著しく低下。
Oh, wait, fuck, really? I was joking about the Widow Bouquets, holy shit. The test subject just about pulls through, requiring some medical attention. But, bafflingly, Netto then decides that he wants to be next.
次は俺とロックマンにやらせてよ。クロスフュージョン。
Well, I do like endangering my sons, but not to this degree. Unfortunately, Hikari's lab is then taken over by a hacker, who fucks with the air system and tries suffocating everyone inside. Rock and Roll jack into the filtration system in order to bust some viruses, but the latter is forced to log out after Meiru passes out. I think I feel bad for this girl's lungs. Statistically, they've been through a lot.
くそー。アクアソード。
With time running short, Beastman.exe makes himself known, and in a bid to finish him off straight away, Netto pulls off a legitimate pro strat from the games.
バトルチップキャノンスロットイン。バトルチップハイキャノンスロットイン。メガキャノンスロットイン。プログラムアドバンス発動。いく
It isn't over yet though, as Captain Bastard here decides to drop a missile onto the lab. A missile that creates a dimensional area, much like the mall from the previous episode. Personally, I feel like a regular missile strike would have been more effective, but I guess that pragmatism is why I'm not a supervillain. Okay, that rainbow effect? I like that a lot. It's appropriately unnatural, kind of like the mall, but doesn't clash with the bright, cartoony designs of the hostile viruses.
ビーストマン
シェードマンさん。
Oh, it seems like Shademan here was actually after the synchro chips, which we've established don't work very well. That explains why Captain Bastard didn't go scorched earth on the lab. But after Shademan leaves with a fistful of them, a recovered Beastman is more than happy to dish out some collateral damage.
ドッグマンやるぞ。ネット君。
One transformation sequence and a genuinely dope design later, Netto and Rockman become one entity. I'm going to call them Rock Netto. Fusion's just a cheap tactic to make dead brothers stronger. Oh shit! I'm not even gonna pretend that that wasn't incredibly goddamn cool.
忘れたか俺。
Okay, wow, the fights in this show are still solid. With Beastman forced to retreat, the episode ends with Netto passing the fuck out.
ネット君ネット君大丈夫返事をしてネット君ネット君
So, where do you go with a show like this? Well, let's find out in episode 51, Where Light Reaches. Everywhere is dimensional area now. God damn it, Dr. Hikari. You know, if you just didn't, this right here wouldn't, you know? That goes for both of you, in fact.
ディメンショナルエリアのエネルギーに変えられてしまった何千何万というネットナビたちの悲鳴が渦巻いている
So, Captain Bastard, as I've been calling him, is none other than Dr. Regal, the main antagonist of Battle Networks 4 and 5, the son of Dr. Wily, and an irredeemably evil scumbag. Having the sons of Wily and Hikari being one another's foils is genuinely a great idea, and I really like how it's done. But this fucking guy though, holy shit, he is a lot. He goes out of his way to make an enemy of everyone, even other villains.
いかに武装しようが所詮人間など脆い存在淘汰される運命なのだ
前にも言ったはずだたかがデータ生命体が地球を支配しようなどと
うわ
クロスレーザー
Oh my god. That was unexpectedly brutal. Like, I get that Shademan has been a pain for the past 50 episodes, but Jesus Christ. By the way, remember how I mentioned that the Western dub of this show would walk on eggshells vis-a-vis the themes of domestic terrorism? Well, the following scene was cut outright. Dr. Regal and his Laserman fusion just kind of stomp around and murder everyone indiscriminately.
Dr. Regal! 街の破壊をやめろ!
This seems like a one-sided fight. I'm pretty sure you'd have to pair up with Godzilla to even stand a chance at this one. And that was NT Warrior. Good series. Very abrupt ending. Like and subscribe. In actuality, Rock Netto does have some fight left in them, but only enough for a volley of double soul attacks. They manage to temporarily incapacitate Dr. Laser, but then end up too exhausted to move, warranting a rescue from Bluzenzan. Or fused Proto Man, if you're not sure who the hell I'm on about there. While Blue Senzan goes head to head with Dr. Laser, once again just trying to hold him off for a bit, all of these side characters appear for one final hurrah, attacking Regal's tower directly and releasing the energy of the aforementioned imprisoned navis. And then making use of every action anime finale trope ever, with such complete earnestness that you can't help but admire it, ROCKMAN.EXE takes the lended power, maxes out his power level, and begins going all out against Dr. Laser while the show's theme song starts playing. Holy shit, I love anime. With Dr. Laser completely obliterated, the gang gather around to celebrate, both in and out of cyberspace. We get a nice happy montage over the end credits, and then end with a stinger for the upcoming series.
が、その時地球には新たに竜王の脅威が接近しつつあった。
Yes, it certainly does. But maybe not for a while. I know it's likely a fool's errand considering that this anime likes to do its own thing, but I do still want to play the rest of the Battle Network series before I review Stream, Beast, or Beast Plus. Besides, it's currently Spoopy Month, so for my next review, I'm gonna go with something in keeping with the season. Thank you very much for all of your support, especially to my patrons: Anonymous, Dan Brown, Fitzwilliam Ramsbottom, Pixel Pusher, Romeo, Shameboy, Thomas Walker, and Toon Pirates. I'll see y'all later.